Oh yeah, okay, so I made a video yesterday about the COVID stimulus bill, and it was a good video, but it was very long and very complicated, and I know that shorter videos do better, so I'm going to try to redo this today and compact it a little bit, and actually the other video and stuff that I was going to patch in really can be summarized very well by our president's press conference last night. So we're going to take a quick look at that in case you have.
However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID Relief Bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment, $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan, $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama, $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business, $1 billion for the Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of down trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI. The bill also allows stimulus checks for the family members of illegal aliens, allowing them to get up to $1,800 each. This is far more than the Americans are given. Despite all of this waste, $100 billion package provides hardworking taxpayers with only $600 each in relief payments, and not enough money is given to small businesses. Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests, while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault, not their fault. I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I'm also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package, and maybe that administration will be me.
Before I go any further, let me also say, please remember I'm on Rumble and BitChute, and if you wouldn't mind subbing to me there, or at least bookmark me there, same username, link in the description, because I don't know how long I can go on. I wanted to go through that bill as line by line as I could, but it's just too cumbersome. I mean, no human can do that. I mean, a 5,000 page document, you know, I've read some extremely complicated legal briefs in my time, you know, 20 to 40 pages long, plus all of the attachments. Man, that shit is long, and it's nowhere near as long as a 5,000 to 6,000 page plan that you're supposed to sign. So they didn't read it, but that's no fucking good. I don't give a shit that it's 5,500 pages long or whatever it is. I don't care how cumbersome it is. That's your job, okay? So let's start with this. $600 per citizen. Is this an issue, and should this be an issue for you? Should you be mad about it? How many people out there are living right now by the grace of the moratorium on evictions? How many people out there are living somewhere and have not been able to pay their rent in full, but have a relationship of some type with their landlord, where they're like, listen, I've lived here a while, I want to continue to live here, you know, my rent's $500 a month, and I can only pay you $250 right now. Just round numbers, obviously, that's low. I can only pay you this right now, but don't worry, when I get my stimulus bill, then, you know, I'll give you my stimulus check, I'll give you 75% of that. You know, thinking that it's going to be $1,200 or $2,000 or something, just because what else would it be? Why would it be less than that? $1,200 was barely enough last time, and we had just started the lockdown. Now, we have been forced through 6 months of political posturing, thanks to mostly Nancy Pelosi and all of the minions under her. Well, they wanted to wait till the election is over, because, of course, they didn't want to do anything that might make Trump look popular. So, now they've finally got it passed. They got enough Republicans to back it, right? And they decide, for whatever reason, to bundle the annual budget with it. A fortunate, huge, and fortunate mistake that they made. So first of all, if you don't understand why the stimulus bill is 5,000 pages long, it's because the stimulus bill is not that long. They decided to bundle it with the annual budget. So this stuff that you are seeing every year, all of the mainstream media should dedicate a good amount of time. And when the bill is 5,000 pages plus long, maybe they should dedicate a week. But every mainstream media outlet should dedicate an amount of time to looking at what is in the bill and what our Congress and Senate voted for. And yeah, $600. What the fuck? You ask me, would you rather have $600 or nothing? Honestly, I'd rather, you know, if the choice is you can have $600, but the government's in bad shape, really broke, having problems with money, owe all this money. So $600, since it ain't going to really do anything for you, would you say, yeah, we should just pass on it and not give anybody any money? But at least then the government gets to keep all that money, so at a later time they can put it into something that's actually beneficial to more Americans. I would certainly say take it and shove it up your fucking ass so that everybody can get a real stipend to something that actually helps them, that could actually pay a chunk of their rent, or make another payment that's crucial, or help them buy some food or daily needed household supplies if there's more lockdowns, which it looks like there's going to be. I don't think it's that hard to do, especially when you see things like gender studies for disadvantaged women in Pakistan gets $125 million. Or, what is it, like 4 or 5 countries that get money for border walls, which was totaling hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah, sounds like something we really ought to shave off of there, because after all, it's not important to have a border wall for our country. Most egregious really is that the fact that American citizens that are eligible for this are getting $600, but illegals are getting $1,800. $1,800. Whoa. What? How does that make sense? It's ludicrous. You don't ever say, well, I have the money, but, you know, I don't want to pay this much. Just like when somebody comes to you for a loan and you don't want to fucking lend your, you know, second cousin who, you know, fucking drinks and does a lot of drinking, you want to lend them money. You don't say, well, jeepers, I have a lot of money, but I don't want to lend it to you because I know it's a bad loan, plus it'll be more stressful to me just trying to get the money back than if I just gave it to you as a gift. So a lot of people say that. Well, the U.S. government's been saying that. They've been saying that for a while, but let's examine that. Oh, we don't have any money. Oh, we like to give you more COVID stimulus. We don't have any money. We don't have any money. We don't have any money. Well, now this budget comes out, and we're seeing like, man, we don't have any money, but we can pay for studying fish. I mean, just the crazy stuff that's in there. Honestly, right now, there's no reason to give anybody outside of the United States. I would look at it like this. Every country that we're giving money to, whether it's for political programs, which I don't think we have any business trying to install or instill American political opinion into another country, like the gender study stuff, or, you know, how is it our business to tell them how to govern their own people? You know, the only time that we do that, where it's, you know, right, It's like if they're a threat to us and they're doing something that's abhorrent, like a human rights violation. So think about that. Any country that we're giving money to, do they have some type of scientific excellence that they're on the forefront of something and we really need to be buddy-buddy with them because we want access to it, or some type of engineering forefront? Do they pose some type of military or strategic value where we have so many troops in their country and we need to be there because there's somebody in the vicinity that we need to have a military base there because of potential military action? I'd say that's pretty much a generalized no, considering how Trump's bringing troops home. Okay, let's even take it a step further. Is there any country that just got out of some type of civil war or has such significant human rights violations that if we don't give them the money in this annual budget, this time, right now, if we don't give them the money, that they will for sure slip back into that civil war or that extreme amount of human rights violations? Every country that there's not a yes on that list, why do we got to give them any money at all? Why do we got to give them any money ever? But especially, why do we right now in 2020 going into 2021 for the 2021 budget when Americans are fucking starving? Why do they got to get anything? I don't see why that entire budget, except for absolutely critical things, I don't see why that entire budget can't just be put on hiatus for a year and the correct portion of that money all be given to the American people. Doesn't make any sense why it wouldn't be. Talk for a second about what congressmen and what senators get paid. So congressman and senator, doesn't matter what state you're from, you get the same wage, right? They all get a base wage of $174,000 a year. Some of the members of Congress, like the Speaker of the House, gets $235,000, and there are some other positions, majority leaders and stuff, get a slight bump, but essentially you're getting $175 to $200 grand a year in that position. That's what everybody gets. But if you look at a lot of these senators and congressmen, man, they seem to have a lot of nice shit. They have a lot of houses, they're always driving new cars, just etc. Always seem to have a lot of nice stuff. Well, how does that work? Okay, well, first of all, there's no rule that says that a person that is in Congress and the Senate can't own as many businesses as they want. They can't own or do anything or be a partner in anything that's a conflict of interest, or you know what I mean? But other than that, they can own businesses. So yeah. So how is it that so many of these senators and congressmen have so much money? I mean, how can that be possible? Well, that's interesting, isn't it? You think about these phrases that you hear: pork spending and sweetheart deal, and they're used so much. It's almost like, people understand what they mean, but they don't really understand what they mean. Well, this annual budget, like so many other things, are full of what they call pork, right? So how does it get like that? Are there that many senators or congressmen that have such strong personal beliefs on how much money should be given to any one country in a year for social programs, for military programs, for border walls, or any other thing? Do they really have such strong personal beliefs? Or are they really representing the personal beliefs of the constituency? Are they really representing those beliefs by voting for these things? Fucking doubtful. Super doubtful. So why are they doing it? About the obvious answer, they're getting bribed. They're getting paid to do it. They're getting paid to vote. Oh, well, that doesn't, we would know if that, we wouldn't. No, okay, let me break that down. So, are they getting cash payments? I'm sure they are in some cases. They're not getting cash payments in the USA that are getting put on their tax return for annual income. And I highly doubt that they're getting any money, unless it's in actual cash. I'm highly doubting that they're getting any money via the banking system of the United States, because that's a paper trail, and of course that's fucking illegal and treasonous, especially if the money is coming from somewhere outside of the United States. So how does that work? Well, they can take a chance and get a bank account in another country, right? But most logically, most of the time, this is how it works. The interest group, once contact is initiated, it's like, well, we really want this. So here's what we're going to do. You got 3 houses, so, you know, here's this super high-end furniture store. You know, we're furnishing one room costs you like $40,000. You got a credit at the store now. Go ahead and furnish all 3 of your houses, furnish your kids' houses, your mom, everybody. Go ahead and do that, and you won't ever see a bill. How do we trace that? It's super hard to trace, right? How about something a little higher up the ladder? Oh, you know, you got 3 kids, and they're all entering college, and you want them to go to Harvard or Yale or to whatever other fucking expensive Ivy League school. Well, how about their tuition's taken care of? Their housing's taken care of. All your kids, for the whole time they're there. We'll set it up to make it look like a grant. You'll have to pay a tiny amount of money to show that you paid what your income, your $175,000, what a lot. We'll make them take the most expensive options, something that's outside of your budget, and we'll just pay it. And we'll make it come from we'll set up a program, a fund, a type of grant that fits what you are, just to have basically making a shell corporation, right? That's another way to do it. You want to get a new car, huh? We'll set you up with a dealership. And you can go in there and you can get yourself a few cars for your family, etc., etc. Same thing. That's how they do it. Those are bribes. Those are treasonous acts by our elected representatives. And those happen all the time. And that is how our budget looks like this fucking monster size dumpster fire that it is. That's why you and I and everybody else are going to get maybe $600 fucking from our government when they could easily afford to give us $1,000 or $5,000. That's why. And that's not even mentioning the other bullshit that congressmen and senators do all the time, which is the expense account. Oh, add this onto the expense account. Oh, we're traveling? Yeah, well, we could stay at a $50 motel that's suitable, or we could go to this $400 a night place that'll include room service, movies, alcohol. Everything will find a way to get put onto an expense account. You know, we'll get all the gas we put in our car, all the food that we have, everything they do, they find a way to funnel it into the expense account. That right there alone is, at the very least, a breach of trust. That right there should be enough of a red flag to be pissed off at just about every senator and congressman. And I know there are a couple of them out there, out of their way to not do that. For the most part, that's not how it is. That's not how these fucking rich, posh motherfuckers live. They live fat. And they do it on a taxpayer dime. And that right there is enough, should upset everybody who's voted for them. So how much more upset should you be about this budget and about them getting essentially cash payments in the forms of goods and services that far exceed their income class? You should be furious. So I have gone through and compiled a list of every person who voted yes, every senator in every U.S., not state. Level, every senator and every congressman. And I can't see how anybody on this list should ever get your vote again. This is not something that's a small thing. You can't make up for it. They should never get your vote again. Briefly, let me just put this in context even a little bit more. You know, we hear all the time, schools in this country are in trouble, public schools, public school. So I did this with the $200 million. For every $200 million that is pulled from the annual budget just for this year, for every $200 million that is pulled, there could be a universal $1,500 per school budget increase that comes from the federal government. So this doesn't include any new taxes for anybody. This is just reallocating the money that's there, cutting wasteful spending, cutting one block of $200 million. All these problems I hear about in the schools, can't get textbooks, old fucking desks, don't have enough PPE, can't afford valuable after-school programs or field trip funds, etc., etc. All this stuff could be fixed just from 1 year of our fucking annual budget, reallocating that money to schools. I'll even go out and talk about, on a limb here, and talk about teacher salaries. Teachers who I am not very happy with right now, as so many are pushing, it's mostly the unions, but they're pushing this critical race theory curriculum, which is a video I'm going to do, a separate video, so I won't get into it. But even just these teachers, there's no reason for them to be getting paid slightly above the poverty line. That's fucking ridiculous. I mean, the teachers' union is so strong with so many other things. Why the hell can't they negotiate exactly what I'm talking about with the government? These problems could be fixed. The wage problem could be fixed. It fucking gets me mad just to talk about this. When Trump said drain the swamp, this type of shit, this budget, is exactly the kind of thing that he was talking about. He's been on the offensive with these people since he got into office, maybe starting a little before while he was campaigning. This is exactly the kind of thing that he's been trying to do, and this is why he gets so much resistance. And, you know, don't think that these sweetheart deals, the phrase sweetheart, don't think these sweetheart deals are only the congressmen and senators that get them. You know, media has that too, part of it. Don't think that those people don't get the same kind of sweetheart deal, backdoor, here we're going to give you credit somewhere so you can have your bribe without having to have it on paper where it can be traced. Don't think they don't get that. That's why they've launched such an aggressive offensive at Trump, because Trump wants to fix all this shit. That's exactly what drain the swamp means. That's what it's about. And I'm sure he knew it wasn't going to be easy, but man, it's really not going to be easy, is it? You know, look at what it's costing. Look at what it's costing the United States. You know what? I'm just gonna finish by saying this. I got to imagine Trump is going to veto this bill for the sake of our country. I hope he does, because this bill is not in the best interest of the American people. But if we do see a $600 check, since there's really not a lot you can do with $600, I have a suggestion for you.